So for our first presentation, I'm pleased to introduce Tom Lumsden. Tom is currently the development manager for the Blatchford redevelopment project in Edmonton. He is a professional engineer and a graduate of the University of Waterloo, and he has extensive experience leading and facilitating land development for major projects in Edmonton. His career began with 3 years of private sector consulting and then 10 years working for the City of Edmonton facilitating land development. And he spent the next 12 years as a senior development manager working for Karma, now Brookfield Residential. With over 22 years of experience, Tom brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise in land development in the public and private sectors. And in the Blatchford role, Tom leads the team responsible for planning, building, and selling the community, one of the largest sustainable development projects in North America. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Tom to our virtual stage. And Tom, I'll hand things over to you now.
Thanks, Yvonne. Okay, should be good to go. Like I said, thanks, Yvonne. As she said, my name's Tom Lumsden. I'm the development manager for the neighborhood in Edmonton called Blatchford, and I'm happy to be here today to tell you about the start of our journey to build one of North America's largest sustainable communities. But before we get into our future, I'd like to briefly take a look at our past. There's an incredible history tied to this land. It's because of this history that we have this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The fact that we have 536 acres of centrally located land in Edmonton goes back to a decision made about 100 years ago to purchase what was a farmer's field for the grand sum of $400. Because of the visionary nature of the mayor at the time, Kenneth Blatchford, who you can see here, the land became the first licensed airstrip in Canada, making it Canada's oldest airport. And this land played a major role in Edmonton's development as a city and what we know as the gateway to the north. When the decision to close the airport was made in 2008, our city council recognized the need to do something special with this land, which began the journey we are on today. Council set a bold vision for this land. The vision is Blatchford will be home to up to 30,000 Edmontonians living, working, and learning in a sustainable community that uses 100% renewable energy, is carbon neutral, significantly reduces its ecological footprint, and empowers residents to pursue a range of sustainable lifestyle choices. I personally like this vision because it's concise and quite impressive. And thinking back to 2010 when it was created, no one was really talking about climate crisis. It shows how forward-thinking our city council was at that time and the city to agree to it. And at the heart of this vision, we are examining one question as the developer: how do we want to live? I'm going to share a video of explores that very question.
How do we want to live? How do we create community during a time of change? How do we build places for the people who would call them home? How do we take care of our neighbors? How do we think about what a neighborhood should be? How do we get around them, to and from them? How do we power our lives when power has been a part of the problem? How do we remember our past while respecting our future? How do we make sure it's accessible to everyone, socially, physically, economically? How do we want to live? We're building a neighborhood where we can find the answers. Renewable infrastructure, sustainable design, historic, central, Blatchford. Urban design that's never been tried in Canada. A community that's never been tried like this anywhere in the heart of Edmonton.
So did you get goosebumps from that? As we work to explore the question of how to create a community that accomplishes all those things, we rely on three core guiding principles: social, environmental, and financially sustainability. When we consider social sustainability, we are thinking about our residents' health and well-being and the livability of the community. We want to create a neighborhood that people love to live in, one where they feel a sense of connection to their neighbors, where they feel proud to know they have lowered their carbon and environmental footprint, where they're excited to get out and explore their streets, and where they feel healthier, both mentally and physically, because the neighborhood has been intentionally designed to let people live a more active and connected life. There are many ways to achieve this, but I'd like to share 3 examples of what we are doing. First, we're building engaging public spaces, parks, plazas, community gardens, skating rinks, and streets. We want to create spaces that people connect with and want to visit. As you can see in the photo from our first stage of the neighborhood, we have built a playground that is next to community gardens, that is next to the former air traffic control tower that will eventually become a community hub. It's all about creating interesting spaces that draw people in. Next, we thought about the way it feels when you're shopping at a big box store versus the experience of going to a local boutique store. Why does it feel so different? By making sure we have integrated retail and commercial throughout the community, we are creating that pop down to the local bakery feel. This mix of land use allows residents to have all their needs met within the community and can foster relationships between residents and businesses. Lastly, we want Blatchford to be a community for everyone, so we are providing a diversity of housing that supports density in an attractive and appealing way. For us, that means no single family homes are currently planned. Only townhouses, condos, and apartments are being built. This achieves the density and is sustainable. We also plan to integrate affordable housing throughout the neighborhood so a diversity of people can all live together. How a community is designed impacts how people live. It can impact how healthy they are, how connected to their neighbors they are, and how they connect to the sense of community. I want to share an example of these people first principles that can impact somebody's lifestyle. Angeli, who you see in the picture, is a planner on my team. She used to live a 5-minute walk from a grocery store in a suburban community. Even though it was very close to her home, she would never walk. It meant walking down a loud, busy street, crossing 6 lanes of traffic, and then a giant parking lot. It didn't even cross her mind to walk. She always drove. She has since moved to a more centrally located community in Edmonton, still 5 minutes from a grocery store, but she always walks. It could be -30, which happens in Edmonton, and it would never occur to her to drive. Why? Because of her neighborhood has been designed with short blocks, narrow streets, and huge elms lining the road, making walking practical and enjoyable. There are always lots of people out on foot, and in fact, getting into her car wouldn't even make sense to her to do this trip. The reason I tell you this story is because Angeli's change of mindset and thus lifestyle is the epitome of what we're trying to do in Blatchford. By designing Blatchford from the ground up, we're able to incorporate the best urban design practices into the community. These are principles that are proven to foster more active, more sustainable, and more socially connected residents. When we consider our ambitious vision, if you recall at the beginning, of 30,000 people, net zero, carbon neutral, for environmental sustainability, we're carefully examining how we can minimize heat, power, and water consumption. The biggest piece of the puzzle for us to solve is around the goal for 100% renewable energy usage and carbon neutrality. We need to start somewhere, so we started with our homes. We know homes are a major source of greenhouse gas emissions. We developed a 3-part energy strategy to reduce the emissions associated with heating and cooling our homes. It's a strategy based on conservation, efficiency, and renewables. First, we looked at conservation. We developed our own green building code to make sure the homes that are being built in Blatchford are using less energy. Using less energy is always our first line of defense. Next, we look at efficiency. Even though we are reducing the amount of energy needed through our green building codes, we still need to find a way to provide energy for heating, cooling, and providing hot water to buildings. So we have built a district energy sharing system. The system allows energy to be captured and shared between buildings across the neighborhood. It can also share energy between seasons by capturing and storing the summer heat energy to be used in the winter and vice versa. The last thing we looked at was renewables. In order to charge the district energy sharing system, we used renewable energy sources like geoexchange, sewer heat exchange, and solar. The first stage of the community actually uses a geoexchange field that was built under the first storm pond. This harnesses the heat energy from below the Earth's surface. Essentially, the entire neighborhood's heating and cooling needs will be met by shared renewable energy. Through this energy strategy, we believe the homes and buildings in Blatchford will emit about 75% fewer greenhouse gases than buildings in a typical neighborhood. In addition to energy, we're also reducing water, waste, and transportation. From the start, we have prioritized recycling materials and reducing waste during construction. One thing we did is we actually crushed the former runways and used that material to build the roads in our first stage, and we will continue to do that through the future stages. We also deconstructed the former airport buildings as opposed to demolishing them. This resulted in over 90% of the materials being diverted from landfill. Our water management plan is a good example of putting the pieces together to build a system that is functional, beautiful, and sustainable. We have water cisterns set up to collect the rainwater off the roofs of the buildings. These are located close to the community gardens, so residents have a good source of water for their gardens. We have bioswales and rain gardens set up to not only slow down the water during storm events, but to also beautify the neighborhood. We have also built our stormwater pond into a wetland that filters pollutants and also increases biodiversity of insects and animals. And we couldn't talk about sustainability without considering transportation. Transportation accounts for 30% of Edmonton's greenhouse gas emissions. We know cars are still going to be a part of people's lives, but we want to provide opportunities for them to choose to drive less. To do that, we've made deliberate decisions to design all of our streets to prioritize pedestrians, cyclists, and transit commuters over private vehicles. This means creating a seamless experience for people. If you want to ride your bike to the LRT, not only is there a path to take you there, but there's a secure place to store your bike and maybe even a fountain to fill up your water bottle. This kind of goes back to my story about Angelie. If you make walking or cycling the easier, more enjoyable choice, people will naturally choose that option. Finally, we look at financial sustainability. We are considering both the economics for the people that live there as well as the economics for the city of Edmonton as a municipality. Having amenities and businesses in the community isn't just a benefit for the residents, it's also a job creator. In addition to having the smaller retail and commercial shops that I mentioned before about the pop down to the local bakery feel, throughout the community, Blatchford will also have a large town center, which will be a community hub for retail, office, and commercial uses. We anticipate that when the community is fully built, thousands of people will be working here. Living centrally and sustainably can also provide an economic benefit to residents, whether through reduced car usage or growing food in one of the community gardens or reducing your monthly water bill. Finally, we also consider the cost savings being realized by putting 30,000 people in a central location. As we know, the cost of urban growth for a city can be tremendous. In addition to environmental impact of longer commute times, the financial costs of building new fire stations and rec centers can be significant. Because Blatchford is located in the heart of Edmonton, surrounded by amenities, businesses, transportation routes, and neighborhoods, the community can take advantage of the existing services and infrastructure already there. At the end of the day, we want other communities to copy us. And we know that making decisions that are fiscally responsible is key to having other Blatchford model adopted by others. We believe Blatchford will be a landmark development for Edmonton. It has potential to transform our city in a province best known for its oil and gas industry into a city that builds environmentally, socially, and financially sustainable communities. Equally important, it will offer Edmontonians a neighborhood that they will be proud to be a part of, a neighborhood that offers them an affordable, higher quality of life. By achieving these things, Blatchford will help position Edmonton as a leader in sustainable community design in North America and around the world. My name is Tom, and I thank you for taking the time to hear the story of Blatchford. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.